As you can see for yourself, it's another beautiful morning here in Shimla. We are still sitting atop Bantani Hill here at the Grand Hotel. Now looking in the west direction at all the hills that surround this part of Shimla. And while it's a beautiful, sunny, blue sky kind of day, I think it's also, at least in the distance, a little hazy, because otherwise, from the spot where we are at, we would have also seen lots of snow-capped mountains, which are like hundreds of kilometers away, somewhere over there. But of course, we don't see that today. Still, we are absolutely enjoying this early morning experience in Shimla. I guess I can try to show you the snow-capped mountains another day. For now, we'll just walk around a little bit and get our muscles moving before we step out of the hotel. And here we are, facing north this time around. Again, Bantani Hill is where we are situated, which is named after a British general and the first Governor General of India, Mr. Bentinck. And Mr. Bentinck actually built his house here on top of this hill, and that's why it was called the Bantani Hill. And I think the house was called the Bentinck Castle. Our plan for today, after we get our muscles moving, is to walk from Bantani Hill all the way to Jakhu Hill and explore a famous temple there. Well, I hope by now you do understand where we are standing. So the road at the higher level is, I think, the ridge, and the one that you see at the lower level, that's the mall or the mall road. We are facing in the east direction. We started from the Bantani Hill area and we'll walk towards Jakhu Hill, crossing the mall road, the Scandal Point, and the whole of the ridge in the process. This is actually a very famous man in the history of Himachal Pradesh. He's Yashwant Singh Parmar, and he was the politician who's credited with leading the movement that led to the creation of Himachal Pradesh. HPMC, the famous HPMC. Live life fruitfully, they say. So I think Shimla kind of does that to you. You kind of forget about specific goals and things that you want to do. Instead, at least for the moment, you just sit down and you want to chill and relax. It's true for me right now, and it was also true for the Britishers in Shimla. This, of course, is the church that we spoke of in the last video. This is called Christ Church, the place where the British Christians and the Anglo-Indian Christians and all the other Christians of Shimla prayed. And I guess talking a little bit more about my previous point of just wanting to relax and chill and have a good time, the US Club was actually a very big example of that, and it doesn't stand for United States Club, it actually stands for United Services Club, and it was a very famous club of the British Indian times. So we've crossed over the whole of the ridge, and now we are climbing up a hill which is called the Jakhu Hill. In fact, it's the tallest hill in Shimla. And I think Shimla comprises of a total of 7 hills. Of course, we started from the Bantani Hill and now we are climbing the Jakhu Hill. Roughly this area is also where the United Services Club was located. So as I mentioned earlier, our plan for today is to summit another famous hill of Shimla, which is called the Jakhu Hill. Of course, we'll use the ropeway. And we'll end up reaching a total altitude of 2,450 meters. So here we are on the ropeway. We'll be gaining a total of 250 meters because Shimla is around 2,200 meters, the ridge area of Shimla, and the Jakhu temple is 2,450 meters. And of course, these beautiful trees that we are passing through and that we looked at in the previous shot as well, they're all Deodar cedars, the beautiful and imposing trees of this region. Look at that beautiful tree line, and of course the famous Hanuman statue. So I do want to spend a few seconds on the United Services Club though. While it was a place where the military people and the civil servants would party and have a good time, one bad thing about the place was that it did not allow Indians. So here we are, we have reached the top of the Jakhu Hill, almost the top, and this is the very famous Jakhu temple. And for all practical purposes, I think we are at the highest point of the main Shimla city area because the Jakhu Hill is the tallest of all the hills around here. So this is where I'll take off my shoes before I go inside. This beautiful and imposing Lord Hanuman statue, it's actually taller than the Christ Redeemer statue of Brazil, and I think you can get a sense of its size if you look at those monkeys that are playing at the base of this huge statue. The monkeys in this area are particularly troublesome actually. So I must be careful as I venture out to these like slightly secluded spots of the temple. How beautiful. And I think generally the vibes of this area are really positive and really good, especially when I was hearing those temple bells earlier in the video. It was just too good. But yeah, you've got to be careful of those monkeys. Look at these tall, beautiful cedars around here. So I don't know about you, but I was very hungry, especially after climbing up the Jakhu hill. Of course, we used the ropeway, but still, I was quite hungry. So we've made a stop at this small, nice little canteen within the temple premises, and I'll try to eat something delicious and maybe something which comprises of rice and rajma, also called kidney beans. I think at this altitude it tastes specially delicious, and the kidney beans of this area are specially famous as well. I just love these vibes of this place. So yeah, I was right. This is the highest peak in Shimla, 2,450 meters, which translates to 8050 in feet. How beautiful this feels, and it's also making me hungry. And believe it or not, the Jakhu forest also has leopards in it. So while it's generally true when you're in this area there could be leopards around, in densely forested areas such as the Jakhu hill, they're all the more common. So yeah. What's also all the more common is the lanes that we have here in Shimla. They're extremely narrow and it's extremely difficult to drive through them, especially when you have something coming from the opposite direction. Hopefully not a leopard. So we are back at the level of the ridge now. As you can see, the Christ Church is right there in front of you, and we are almost done with today's walk and today's exploration of the Jakhu hill this time around, and of course the temple. Thankfully we did not find any leopards, which is a good thing. But yeah, I will catch you again. Bye.